Ow.
If movies have dazzled you in the last decade, chances are you've seen work by the artists at Rodeo FX, a Montreal-based company that helped bring a drowning talking bear and fantastic beasts to life. In the past 11 years, Rodeo FX has worked on several movies that won Academy Awards related to their work. The first Oscar included work the company did during its first year of existence. And this year, another first for the company. Of the 5 Oscar-nominated films for visual effects, Rodeo FX team members lent their artistry to 3 of them.
We worked on 3 out of 5 nominated, so that's the first time.
We have had other films that we have been a part of, which we've all been proud of, but this is the most in 1 year.
Rodeo FX artists worked on scenes from Star Wars: The Last Jedi, Kong: Skull Island, and Blade Runner 2049.
At Rodeo, we had about close to 300 people that were a part of these 3 films, from our support staff to all the artists on the floor working on shot-specific work, as well as the production team managing the teams, and the supervision, of course, for every one of the films.
Rodeo FX founder Sébastien Moreau says his collaborations with Blade Runner director Denis Villeneuve began even before he founded the company.
When I started in the business, I was an online editor when I got out of school, and one of my first clients was Denis Villeneuve. At the time, he was directing music videos and advertising, so that's where I met him. And when I came back in Montreal in 2006 to start a company, he became one of our clients.
Visual effects producer Adam O'Brien Locke says Rodeo FX has worked with French-Canadian filmmaker Denis Villeneuve for 4 of the director's major projects, including his recent Blade Runner 2049.
I think he even asked for us to be a part of this, which is quite something. On Enemy, he was in the studio editing his film here. We had a great rapport with him and a great relationship was forged. Being a part of Arrival was such a huge film for him, especially being recognized for his work. So being able to transition onto such an iconic film for us has been something spectacular that we're very proud of.
O'Brien Locke says Rodeo FX team members had direct contact with the principal creators of the Blade Runner sequel.
We were on calls where we would send in our work, and then we'd have a Skype or a visual meeting with Denis Villeneuve and the VFX supervisor John Nelson, where he would discuss our work and tell us what he'd like to see in other versions to see how we could make the shots better. On Star Wars and on Kong, what we were working with ILM, Industrial Light and Magic. And so we would only discuss with ILM the work that we were doing, and ILM would then present it to directors and try to get feedback that way. But with Blade Runner 2049, we had the unique opportunity to be there with him, be there in the creative process with Denis Villeneuve, and try to attain what he was looking for creatively.
Even though 7 other visual effects companies also worked on Blade Runner 2049, an art director from Rodeo FX was able to contribute some of his own ideas for how a scene described in the script would look in the finished film.
What our concept artist, Deke Ferrand, was able to do was we were presented with a shot from the original film, the Coca-Cola shot. You'd see the Coca-Cola advertisement everywhere in the original film. So we wanted to bring a 2049 spin to that, and we were tasked with trying to bring that into a futuristic world. And so Deke would work with Denis one-on-one and bring these from the initial concepts that were just sketches into reality in this film. So in this shot, we basically had to create something out of nothing. There is absolutely nothing here that's real. So as we go in a little further, you will see that we created some geometry here, which is basic geometry, not much detail. It's usually only used for projection. When I say projection, it means what we're going to do in Photoshop, we're going to project onto this background. So if you see here, we've projected our matte painting So now the geometry has definition and has detail. Then we're going to add atmosphere and various glows and also a hologram of a Coca-Cola can, which is rotating ever so slightly, which is done in CG as well. Then you'll see that we add a layer of rain that's flying down. That's not real rain. We created that in CG. We've added an entire city of Los Angeles in the background, backlit with atmosphere and rain. This doesn't exist. What we did in reality, there was nothing. We created this all ourselves.
Even if one of the three films wins an award for visual effects on March 4th, Rodeo FX will not receive an Oscar statuette to stand next to its Visual Effects Society Awards and its 3 Emmy statuettes for work on the HBO series Game of Thrones. The Oscar statuettes only go to the visual effects supervisor and his immediate team, people who work mostly in Hollywood. But the name of Rodeo FX would once again be connected to an Oscar-winning film, adding to the company's prestige in the visual effects hub that Montreal has recently become. Moreau says Montreal became a hub thanks to the visual effects schools in the city and tax incentives from Canada and Quebec that help the effects industry thrive. Moreau adds he's glad to see Montreal companies helping audience members discover new ways to dream.
All the kids have been amazed, watching some movie like Jaws or E.T. We're able to create illusion, that people believe and they inspire people in many ways. So we all got inspired, and now we have the chance to inspire people by creating our visual effects.
When I got into visual effects, what I was always entertained by was the fact that we are creating something out of nothing. There is just a simple green screen in the background and we are creating an entire universe outside of that. I love seeing the progress of that. From day one on the film to the final day a year later. It's always an extremely nice kind of evolution to see these shots have a life of their own afterwards.
There's a chance Rodeo FX team members might get a shout out from the stage of the Dolby Theater if one of the 3 films wins the Academy Award.
Preferably, I'd like to buy a plane ticket to LA and go myself. Otherwise, I'm sure I can find a party where my friends and coworkers will be to celebrate the accomplishments that we're all quite proud of.
I think the one that would be the most meaningful for us would be Blade Runner, because that's the one that we've been the most involved, a little bit more, really more directly.
For myself and for the artists that worked on these films, their work is being recognized by the Academy just by being nominated. So in that and of itself, we're proud. But if one were to win, that means our work is forever enshrined as the best visual effects of the year, and nobody can take that away from us.
Spotlight is supported by the Glenn and Carol Pearsall Adirondack Foundation, dedicated to improving the quality of life for year-round residents of the Adirondack Park.